Manchester United won, Omonia 0. We got there just about in the end. A really, really tiring match to watch as a fan, and to be honest with you, my prediction at the start of this game was 4-0. It should have been 4-0, it should have been more than that. The amount of chances we had and just didn't finish was unbearable really, but we got there in the end. Scott McTominay of all people, and to be fair, when he came on he probably had the most chances out of everyone, best chances anyway. He got one on target, and then he could have had another one as well, but thankfully he put the ball in the back of the net. To be honest with you, I just think Omonia for them today, a 0-0 is everything they wanted. You can see time wasting from the first minute. There's no excuses, we still should have put it past them earlier doors in the game. We should have done that, but it just didn't end up happening for us, and this seems to be the thing with low blocks. We just seem to not be able to get the ball in the back of the net. Personally for me, I think the running off the ball isn't good enough, and I just don't think the team right now is clicking together when we are playing with possession, which isn't great. On the counter-attack we look good, as we always have, but when we have to play out from the back and get it through the midfield, get it to the forward line and create chances, we don't seem to be doing that as well. Today, don't get me wrong, we did create chances, it's just the final ball or the final finish just wasn't there. The finishing really was amateur. We just weren't aggressive enough to get a goal in the end, but Scott McTominay managed to do it in the last couple of minutes of the game, and if that would have been a 0-0, that would have been disastrous for Manchester United against Omonia. It would have been a really, really poor result, would have put us under massive pressure in the group, with the teams like Barcelona potentially dropping down from the Champions League that we have to play. We have to win that group, and to do that we have to win every single one of our games left in the Europa League. Left it to the last minute, but thankfully we got the win. Few performers that I thought performed well. I mean, in a game like this it's hard to tell. I think it must have been at least 85% possession. I mean, Casemiro I thought held down that midfield really well. I thought his passing was good. I thought Luke Shaw when he came on looked a lot better than Malacia. With Malacia, for me, I think defensively he looks okay. I mean, in the City game he got turned over, but going forward he just doesn't seem to be offering that much, and I feel like that is shown because Ten Hag subbed him twice now, quite early on in 2 games, so clearly he's not doing what Ten Hag wants him to do. And Luke Shaw came on, I thought he played well. Sancho again came on, showed definitely more hunger than he has done the last couple of times he's played, which is really important because he's been benched, and ultimately putting him on the wing and having someone to drive at the defenders, and with the feet that he has, them tricky feet, it ultimately got us the goal because that led to the deflection of Scott McTominay. We should have had a lot more goals. I thought Ronaldo, despite the fact we always had the ball, had very little service. We just couldn't seem to get the ball on a plate to him. And then with corners and set pieces as well, for me personally it just wasn't good enough. Like, our set pieces are a big issue. In games like this we should be using them to win the game. I mean, corners couldn't beat the first man. I don't know if what we're trying to do on them, but it's just not working. Free kicks, we don't seem to be aligning with the runs that the attackers are making. So they need massive work, because they're a big area of the game where you can win games, and it just seems like we're not progressing much in that area whatsoever. But ultimately, I thought the team, like, together, we kept the ball, which is obvious, that was always going to happen, but just progressing it up the pitch and creating them chances, there definitely needs to be improvement. And now I can kind of understand why Ten Hag has started the strongest team in this game, because they need to get used to each other, they need chemistry, and I think this team needs to learn how to play together when they've got possession, because that's the type of football Eric Ten Hag, we won't ever be able to play it to that extent in the Premier League because of the difference of the opposition. They just came here to put 11 men behind the ball and sit out a 0-0. But that's exactly the type of football that he wants to play, possession-based football on a regular basis. Having games like this to practice it is good, but we need to be scoring more goals than what we did. I mean, Rashford, he had multiple chances, he just couldn't finish, and that seems to be the issue with Rashford. When a couple don't go for him, his shooting ability then for the rest of the game seems to be poor, but he's getting himself in the right position and he's definitely a massive threat. I thought Anthony, again, I mean, I wanted him to go with the defender more. I mean, he was really tight to him, but going out wide, we just weren't taking up enough of the spaces, which dragged other players out of position and give space to our players. It's all about giving space and making them spaces available for our attackers. But ultimately, we won the game 1-0. We progress on. We've got to win the rest of our Europa League games. It's just a massive shame that a lot of our first team players have ended up playing 90 minutes when we've got Newcastle on Sunday, which is going to be a tough game, and then Spurs on Wednesday, that's going to be a tough game. But hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone will be okay and we managed to get the result. But thank you for watching, guys. Comment down below what you thought, and I'll see you on the next one.